Hello to everyone in the internet. It is currently Wednesday, December 26th. I am Nathan of Washington, and you are watching Young Globalist, and this is the news. So Texas okays funding and starts building 115 miles of wall. But of course, recently the dumbocratic leaders of the House of Reps said that Trump was plunging us into chaos on Christmas Eve with the shutdown. But of course they always think that anytime they're not going to be present or active, of course they think that without the government there will always be chaos, blah blah blah. Of course they think that. That's just what keeps them, that lie is just what keeps them in power. There wasn't any chaos. I had a great Christmas with my family. And speaking of family, why don't you move your family all the way over onto minds.com and get rid of Facebook. I've been boycotting for Facebook for the last 8 days because they've been censoring people. Shut them down. No more censorship. No more censorship. But this should set a new precedent, and we will most likely see the wall built. I certainly hope the dumbocrats don't tear it down after his presidency is over. As soon as Trump walks, the next guy that comes in, or gal, probably very likely, will attempt to tear down the wall they just spent all this money and all this effort building. There are enough of bitter, bratty baby tyrants to try and do it. And honestly, in the face of Trump requesting $5.7 million, the Democratic House only offered $1.3 million. Most likely in an effort to shortchange him so he'll just give up. Something to sort of placate him, be like, there you go away. You know, just sort of dismiss him. But he's your president, you can't just dismiss him like that. Thanks to Texas, we could very well be getting the wall. We don't need no filthy migrants. Yeah, anytime someone says the wall, they think of Trump. I think of Pink Floyd. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And now yet another dumbocrat. I'm never going to stop doing that. Susan Rice is saying that Donald Trump is more dangerous than ISIS. Really? More dangerous than ISIS, who regularly behead people, often little children, murder, rape, etc., etc. Yeah, totally more dangerous. I totally see that being a thing. According to my sources, she is apparently someone who lied to the world when ISIS attacked Benghazi, allowed them to take root while she worked under Obama as National Security Advisor, and has gone on to allow Russia to annex Crimea. In other words, she's not even doing her job. Mind you, I don't care about that stuff so much. What I care about is that someone who's literally doing nothing at their job claims that someone's more dangerous than ISIS. She's obviously an establishment shill who likes foreign wars, but lets shit happen probably so that more foreign wars can get started. Can't start a war if nothing's going on, huh? And obviously a Trump-hating dumbocrat to boot. Susan Rice is a real piece of work. She and all of her war-hawking, tyrannical buddies who are not otherwise useful should be permanently fired from working in the government, period. No more of these people, I'm telling you. Now, I'm going to read you an article about a subpoena that was issued by Robert Mueller to a foreign company that was unnamed in the court case. But the Supreme Court blocked it. It says, the Supreme Court has finally taken an interest in the Russia witch hunt. But it is a witch hunt, pretty much. And blocked a subpoena issued by Special Counsel Robert Mueller. Chief Justice John Roberts stated a contempt order Sunday night, marking the first time the Supreme Court has intervened in the Mueller inquiry. DailyCaller.com reports very little is known of the case, which reached the justices on Saturday. Because the matter was proceeded through the federal court under seal, meaning strict confidentiality prevails over every detail, the scant facts which are available about the case are these. A grand jury issued a subpoena to an unnamed company owned by a foreign government, sometime during the summer of 2018. That firm, referred to in court filings as the Corporation, has been fighting the subpoena in federal court since August. The U.S. Court of Appeals for the D.C. Circuit released one of the few public filings in the matter on December 18th. Since the entity is owned by a foreign government, it sought to quash the subpoena under the protections of the Foreign Sovereign Immunities Act. The D.C. Circuit rejected these arguments and found that the corporation must comply with the subpoena. The company appealed that decision to the Supreme Court Saturday. The corporation faces a fine for every day that it fails to abide by the subpoena. Robert's Sunday night decision temporarily halts the non-compliance fines. The department must submit a response to the foreign company's application by December 31st. The Chief Justice's order is not a decision on the merits of the dispute, nor is it necessarily significant. The justices often issue a temporary reprieve of lower court decisions, called an administrative stay. While the full court considers how it wants to proceed, though Mueller's connection to the case has not been definitively established, several facts indicate the special counsel's involvement. CNN saw senior Mueller lawyers return to the Justice Department immediately after the conclusion of a recent secret hearing in the matter. An entire floor of a Washington courthouse was sealed in advance of that proceeding, a highly unusual move. On a separate occasion, Politico overheard lawyers and court officials discuss this matter with specific reference to the special counsel. What's more, Judge Greg Katsas, President Donald Trump's first appointee to the D.C. Circuit, recused himself from this case. Katsas was a lawyer in the White House counsel's office in the early days of the Trump administration, where he handled topics bearing on the Mueller probe. During his confirmation hearing, the judge told lawmakers he would recuse himself in cases relating to Mueller's investigation. The case has moved through the federal courts at an unusual clip. Very few disputes will reach the Supreme Court just 4 months after they arose in a trial court, as is true here. In short, he forced a subpoena on some company, and it wasn't really specified why, but the Supreme Court blocked the subpoena. Most likely because they saw it as being unfair. They were probably in defense of Trump somehow. But the Mueller probe is a witch hunt. It is Democrat liberal butthurt to try and get him removed because they weren't the guy. That's not the guy we wanted. Pretty much. By the by, the partial government shutdown will continue until wall funding is received. Well, Texas has already given up a bunch, so I'd say that pretty soon we will be getting that wall. We're getting that wall, whether they like it or not. And Texas is getting started on it. They will begin. That will set the precedent. New York Times produces an uncorroborated article that makes it seem as though a now deceased doctor lied about Trump having bone spurs to keep him out of the military for Vietnam. But the article itself, not only is it uncorroborated, the whole story was based on what the two daughters of the now dead doctor told them. And surprise, surprise, they are conveniently anti-Trump. Of course. The New York Times sense of ethics are pretty abysmal, if you ask me. They obviously made that whole thing up. Pretty solidly, I'd say they made it up. I mean, it has no corroboration. The two daughters they asked about were conveniently anti-Trump. It looks like a smear. It looks like a classic smear. Russia now has new supersonic rocket nukes. Yes, they now have nuclear missiles capable of hypersonic capabilities. That's awfully scary, and with the way Russia's been acting lately, I think I'm more than a little worried about Russia. That's why we need to prepare ourselves to defend ourselves in the event that Russia decides to cross the line and attack the United States. We should make ourselves ready. And our allies, we should help to make them ready as well. Stock market no longer in danger as traders return from Christmas break. Yeah, as it turns out, that fall in stocks was not all just due to the trade war. It was also due to just traders from the stock market just going on Christmas break. I imagine there was going to be a stock fall anyway. It was just made more obvious or even enhanced by them leaving for Christmas break. Don't you just love how the MSM always likes to panic whenever things don't seem to be going their way? And then for our final story today, Britain is now going to review claims of Christian persecution all over the world. Some 250 million or so. All over the world. Well, if there's any real persecution of Christians in the West, well, you know, aside just war on Christmas, let me tell you what you can do to prevent that, of persecution of Christians in the West. It's real simple. Stop importing the Middle East. If you bring the Middle East into the West will become the Middle East. Done. Send them back home. They don't belong here. As for persecution of Christians elsewhere, I think you'll find it's for the same reason why Buddhists and other religions get persecuted. Islam. It's a lot more violent than the left wants you to think. A religion of peace? Not statistically. Statistically, the only one that can fairly make that claim is Hinduism. And that may change once Muslims decide to attack them in India, because they're ready to defend themselves. Bottom line is, I'm actually kind of looking forward to seeing Britain to review those claims. At last we'll finally see the truth. Anyway, that's it for the Young Globalist today, folks. I'm out!